is just in. Coming out of the east, the Black Death reached the shores of our neighbors, the Italians, in the spring of 1348, unleashing a plague more brutal than any we have ever seen, surpassing the terrible plague of the 6th century. By the time we realized what was going on, it was too late. It had torn families apart, broke men from the churches, and I hear now that every third person has died from it. We have a special guest, a bishop, to explain the matters to us. Your Holiness, please explain exactly what is going on. It's terrible.
From England to China, the air is infected with the smell of dead bodies of sick persons and medicine. I've seen 3 forms the plague has taken as it kills people. The bubonic variant, which is the most common, where swells appear on the victim's body. A person with these will eventually die. The second variation is the pneumonic plague. It attacks the respiratory system. This can be caught by breathing the exhaled air of a victim. The last variation is the septicemic variation, which attacks the blood.
What are other symptoms of the Black Plague?
Other symptoms are very high fever, delirium, nausea, muscular pains, bleeding in the lungs, and mental deterioration.
How do you prevent the plague?
I'm no doctor, but there has been no medicine to treat or prevent. My advice is to stay away from anything that has come into contact with the bodies and pray to the Holy One for protection.
Where did the plague come from?
I was told it was started by Jews who poisoned our wells.
We lost many of our staff from it. Our hearts and souls go out to the millions of families affected.
We advise you to turn towards the church as a light in our dark time.
Thank you, Bishop, for your time.
Thank you for having me. Hi everyone, and welcome to Catherine's Shop. We do the best hairstyles that you will love in the medieval times. We do the delicanache, and we do the Coriolis, and we do even more hairstyles that you will love. Come to us and you won't regret it.
Recently lost an excellent ruler, Charles the Great, King of the Franks, undisputed ruler of Western Europe as the first Holy Roman Emperor. Charlemagne became king with his brother Carloman after his father Pepin the Short died in 771. His brother died a few years later, and Charlemagne took charge of both kingdoms. As a skilled military strategist, he spent much of his reign engaged in warfare in order to accomplish his goals. He won many wars such as the Aquitanian, Lombardian, Saxonian, Slavic, Danish wars, and the Spanish expedition. Charlemagne believed that government should be for the benefit of the governed. He was a reformer who tried to improve his subjects' lives by setting up money standards to encourage commerce and urging better farming methods. He even built schools for children so they could have an education no matter of the class. Charlemagne himself also tried to learn to read and write, a personal goal rarely set for kings. His relationship with the church was a strong one. He founded the Church of St. Peter the Apostle in Rome with gold and precious stones and constantly helped the Pope in all his endeavors. He helped poor Christians in Egypt, Jerusalem, Syria, Africa, Alexandria, and Carthage, for he believed no Christian should live a miserable life. After Pope Leo III crowned Charlemagne in 800, he ruled for 46 years. His son Louis will succeed him. We lost a great ruler this week. He will be missed.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Good Morning France.
I'm Lady Arabella,
And I'm Lady Adelaide. Did you hear about Joan of Arc?
the Maid of Orleans.
Yes, Joan is a 17-year-old peasant girl from Domremy, France, who became our leading general.
Oh yes, I heard she cut her hair because she wanted to look like a man.
Wow, power of the visual right there.
Apparently this girl went to, at the time, the uncrowned king in his castle, and she told him that there was a prophecy and that she was the messenger from God, and that if he gave her an army, she would lead it to victory against the English. And he gave her one, and she won. We are informed that the prophecy is, end quote, as France had been lost by a woman, it would be saved by a woman.
On February 21st, she had been taken prisoner by the Duke of Burgundy, who gave her to the English, and they put her in prison in Rouen. She was summoned before the court, and when she was asked questions about Charles VII, but she wouldn't reveal anything. Her life must have been so difficult.
She did have some victories in this 100-Year War, like the winning Battle of Compiègne and the Battle of Orleans. She is the Major General of the French army, and she's just 17 years old. She has Orleans, which previously was captured by the English. How crazy is that?
The battle lasted for 9 days, right?
Yeah! And because of her fierceness on the battlefield, just 2 months later, she helped the French push the English back into Normandy, which led to the crowning of Charles VII. But the English were still active in the north and along the border of Burgundy. Forces were outnumbered and she lost the battle. She attempted to retreat, but was captured by the English.
After she refused to say anything about the king, she was originally charged on 70 counts of heresy, but thankfully they shrunk to only 12. And Joan, who had been in prison in dank cells for months, has become ill. This is worrying us here in Burgundy, for we want, and I personally want, to make sure she didn't die before the court could prove she was a witch. In a comment from Joan, she refused to change her statements, saying, I quote, "I'd rather die than do something which I know to be a sin, or to be against God's will."
She is to be burned at the stake next Tuesday. Hang in there, Joan.
Go.
As you know, our local bishop, Bishop Maurice de Sully, decided that it was time to make a new Roman Catholic cathedral built in Gothic style.
Go.
If you donate to the charity fund, you will be honored by all of us here at the Notre Dame Project. We are a nonprofit organization organizing the funds for the building of the cathedral, and we are a bit short of the funds. Your donation will go directly to the fund. No middleman. For the building of the cathedral, we have the best architects on the job. Jean Deschelles, Jean-Baptiste Antoine Lassos, Pierre de Montruel. Notre Dame will be among the first buildings to use arched exterior supports, and the groundbreaking is planned to begin in 1163 and to be completed in 1345. There is to be many spiraling staircases for a narrow climb of 387 steps to the top, where there will be a bell placed for a spectacular view of Paris. Above the chapel of the Blessed Sacrament, there will be on the right wall a 14th century fresco showing Mary welcoming St. Denis and St. Nick. There are to be many things added to it for decoration. There will be gargoyles, and there will be a north and south of the choir screens filled with sculptures, and around the choirs themselves there will be works of art displayed in the ambulatory chapels. The doors will be no simple doors, but instead doors in honor of St. Stephen, Mary, St. Anne, and a door depicting the Last Judgment. From the north and south cathedral, there will be stained glass windows featuring scenes from the Old Testament up to the time of Jesus, and under the south one there will be a great organ. At the west there will be a facade with 2 towers on each side. If you donate just 10 silver pennies or 40 big pennies, it would be worth your while. Donate today.
Today we commemorate the 1-year anniversary since the end of the Third Crusade. To commemorate it, I will briefly go over the different events that occurred and the important people in the crusade. If you don't already know, you are probably wondering what the cause of the Third Crusade was, what and who started it, and the different rulers and events in the Third Crusade. Around 35 years after the Second Crusade, Saladin, Sultan of Egypt, decides to trigger the Third Crusade by capturing Jerusalem in 1187. This is what causes the Third Crusade. The goal of the Third Crusade is to reconquer Jerusalem from Saladin. Richard II of England and Philip II of France decide to lead a new crusade to reconquer Jerusalem. They set out to Sicily in order to get to a city in Israel, but they had to stay in Sicily for a while. Philip and Richard eventually get to a city in Israel, and the city surrenders after fighting. Philip then leaves Israel to go back to France. Richard meets up with Saladin, and they fight at the Battle of Arsuf. King Richard and Saladin eventually come to a truce, where Christians were allowed to come to Jerusalem without paying money, that they would be able to access the holy places in Jerusalem, and that they would not be disturbed throughout Jerusalem. The Third Crusade concluded with this truce, and King Richard set sail to England from the Holy Land. I would like to take a moment to commemorate the end of the Third Crusade with all watching. Thank you for watching, and it's been a pleasure informing you of your local news, and everyone here at Good Morning France wishes you a great rest of your day. Thank you.